I am absolutely going to testify. I won't even say his name. He is an evil being and is going to pay.
I think that I was just, living in this shame, living in all this sort of stuff in my past, and I wasn't able to move on.
Combs allegedly planned and controlled the sex performances, which he called freak-offs, and he often electronically recorded them. The freak-offs sometimes lasted days at a time.
Marble Hall outside Manhattan's federal courthouse vibrated with camera shutters, but inside the oak-paneled room you could hear a pin drop until 3 teenage girls sprinted for the exit, tears streaking their cheeks. Delilah, Jessy, and Chance Combs had come to defend their father, Sean Diddy Combs. Instead, they fled, leaving the music mogul standing alone beneath a storm of flashbulbs. What flickered on the courtroom screen, and what forced his own children to bolt, set off a cultural earthquake that still hasn't settled. Keep watching, because the next 8 minutes will change how you see hip-hop's ultimate power player.
Wow! I feel violated right now. Wow.
Lean into me again. You smell amazing. How old are you?
Thank you.
How old are you?
I'm 16. I'll be 17 in like 2 weeks.
I don't ever remember smelling that good at 16. Like that was bad.
Yeah.
Wow, look at your eyes. Look at what a beautiful...
Bieber turned 15, and it suddenly seemed that Hollywood was keen to almost initiate him. I think that's the right word. Like there was almost like this initiation that he needed to go through. So I want you to be now super uncomfortable and watch this video of an interaction between him and none other than Diddy. Take a listen.
Justin, you ever seen the movie For the Times of Their Lives? Like, you know, where we hanging out and what we doing. We can't really disclose, but it's definitely a 15-year-old's dream. You know, I have been given custody of him. You know, he signed to Usher.
I'm signed to Usher.
I had legal guardianship of Usher when you know he did his first album. I did Usher's first album. I don't have legal guardianship of him, but for the next 48 hours, he's with me. So and we gonna go full.
Young Justin Bieber, who was signed by Usher, involved with Scooter Braun. Now all of a sudden he's being put in the hands of Diddy, who, it is true, he became the legal guardian for Usher. You can look up all of the allegations of what Diddy did. The allegations are essentially that Diddy very much initiated Usher. As we are going through these lawsuits and Diddy is in prison, we are recognizing that everybody knew. This was an open secret about what Diddy was doing. So it just begs the question, who allowed Justin Bieber to be in the presence of this man, knowing what he was up to, allegedly up to? That seems to be very clear.
Long before the tears and sirens, Diddy moved through life like a living confetti cannon. Billboard chart runs, champagne showers, and billion-dollar vodka deals cemented his crown. But industry insiders whispered about the velvet rope after hours. Freaky white parties, locked phones at the door, security tight as Fort Knox. What looked like harmless excess to fans felt, to certain guests, like a gilded cage. Even back in 2005, rumors floated that his private nightlife came with strict rules: who touched whom, which pill to swallow, how bright the sconces should glow. Nobody spoke publicly. The price of entry was silence. Until one woman finally refused to stay quiet, and 2023 would rip the velvet curtain clean off the stage. Cassie Ventura walked away from Bad Boy Records years earlier, but in November 2023, she walked straight into civil court, lobbing a 35-page lawsuit that landed like a grenade. The filing accused Diddy of coercion, violent control, and forcing her across state lines for what prosecutors later called commercial sex acts. Less than 24 hours later, the case settled for a reported $20 million, an eye-blinking speed that left lawyers and fans gawking. The settlement gagged neither Twitter nor trauma. Surviving Diddy trended for 72 hours. Backup dancers DM'd journalists. A former house manager hinted at video files nobody should own. The chatter didn't die down, it metastasized. Inside a Brooklyn field office, federal agents started comparing notes, and by early 2024, they were ready to move. They just needed one excuse, and a private jet's flight plan gave them exactly that. Sunrise on March 27, 2024. 6 black SUVs swing into Miami's Palm Island. By 7 a.m., Homeland Security agents are battering down the mirrored doors of a $48 million waterfront palace. 35 minutes later, a second team hits Holmby Hills, in Los Angeles. Both squads walk out with hard drives, burner phones, designer duffels stuffed with cash, and 2 ledgers labeled party logistics. A source inside the Miami search claims staff tried to wipe CCTV feeds on the fly. Too late. Agents carted off the server racks. TMZ splashed drone shots of seized luxury cars across breaking news banners. Diddy's attorneys dismissed the action as phishing. Federal prosecutors smiled and said nothing, their silence louder than any press conference, because buried in that mountain of seized silicon was a file folder named simply White Party Archive. Fast forward to May 2025. Diddy, now 55, sits at the defense table in a navy suit that can't hide the restless tap of his foot. Across the aisle, a woman the indictment calls Jane tells the jury how he flew her from Atlanta to Vegas for 36-hour hotel nights. She says he threatened to yank her apartment lease when she begged male escorts to use protection. Her testimony sketches a pattern: money, interstate travel, blackmail, checking every box of federal sex trafficking law. A second witness reads, group chat messages, pack baby oil. He wants bodies to shine. Diddy's lawyers counter that all the encounters were consensual, spiced by mutual kinks and the occasional argument. Jurors lean forward anyway. They know prosecutors still haven't shown the pièce de résistance, the 2018 White Party video, rumored to feature 8 celebrities and a woman whose name alone can break the internet, Kim Porter. And when that clip finally rolls, the Combs empire won't just crack, it will splinter like glass. The courtroom lights dimmed, and for 3 beats the entire room inhaled. The screen flared to life, revealing a camera phone's shaky glide through a neon-washed living room. Bodies shimmered under stage lights. A DJ looped a bass line so deep, the video mic rattled. In the foreground, a woman lounged on a white leather sofa, eyes half-lidded, satin robe sliding from one shoulder. Jurors leaned closer, then froze. The face was unmistakable. Kim Porter, the model who'd shared 3 children with Diddy and died in 2018 from what coroners called lobar pneumonia. A hush cracked into gasps when Delilah and Jessy realized what they were seeing. Their chairs scraped the floor, and the twin sisters bolted, hands over mouths, sobs echoing down the corridor. Chants followed, hot tears glinting under fluorescent hallway lights. Reporters in the gallery whispered, "His own girls can't. Watch." People magazine broke the scene within minutes. Sean Combs' 3 daughters fled the courtroom in tears as explicit party footage rolled on the monitor. On screen, a timestamp stamped June 3, 2018, 03:17 a.m. flickered over Porter's image. The room around her looked less like a mansion parlor and more like a set: professional spots, a rack of lace outfits, 2 security guards in the doorway. Prosecutors called the clip a fragment from the White Party Archive, one of 8 drives seized in the Miami raid. Every eye snapped back to Diddy, his hands pressed flat on the defense table, knuckles blanched, jaw tight. But he didn't stand this time. With his children gone, the eruption fizzled into an eerie stillness. The jury watched the 5-minute excerpt in silence that felt ocean deep. When the lights brightened again, several jurors blinked hard, as if surfacing from water. A court officer collected tissues from the rail. And just like that, the government's central thesis snapped into focus. These gatherings weren't random orgies, but meticulously scripted performances, directed by a single man who kept the footage as leverage. A defense attorney rose to object, calling the video contextless erotica. But the damage was done. Jurors had seen Kim Porter alive, glassy-eyed, seated in a milieu that prosecutors said matched witness descriptions of freak-offs, sex marathons that sometimes spanned entire weekends. From that moment forward, every mention of Porter's official autopsy would carry a phantom question mark. Were pneumonia and coincidence really the whole story? And if the mother of 3 could appear in such a state, who else was on those drives still hidden from public view? Kim's death had once felt tragically simple. Sudden flu-like symptoms, a weak cough, a collapse at her Toluca Lake home. The Los Angeles County Medical Examiner wrote, "Natural, lobar pneumonia." Conspiracy theories floated for a week, then sank beneath tributes and candle emojis. But resurrection is easy when new footage surfaces. Now, social feeds that once mourned Kim were ablaze with questions. Why did a supposedly bedridden woman fly to Miami for a party? Did she plan to write a tell-all? Cassie's legal team hinted at an unpublished memoir. How did her image end up among evidence tagged insurance? Prosecutors never claimed foul play. They didn't have to. All they needed was reasonable doubt about Diddy's public narrative. With each retweet of Porter's blurred still frame, that doubt ballooned. Blogs tallied timeline anomalies. Porter's phone last pinged in Miami 10 days before her death, a fact detectives once dismissed as travel planning. And the Combs daughters? They returned to court 2 days later, this time without tears, eyes red but resolute. They sat 3 rows back instead of front and never glanced toward their father. On the lunch recess, paparazzi shouted if they still believed in his innocence. The girls kept walking. Silence in that hallway spoke louder than any denial. Behind the scenes, investigators subpoenaed Porter's long-dormant iCloud. Rumor leaked that an encrypted note titled White Lights sat in her drafts folder. Its timestamp, July 11th, 2018, came 8 days after the video's timestamp and 4 months before she died. The public drew its own straight line between those 2 dots. While the internet obsessed over Porter, a quieter drama brewed inside the family. Justin Combs, the eldest son Diddy once paraded at NFL games, hadn't flinched when the freak-off clip rolled. Court sketch artists captured him arms folded, gaze locked forward, lips curved in something that wasn't quite a smile. Gossip wires crackled. Did Justin leak the drive? No subpoena named him, but Business Insider reported that an adult child of the defendant provided investigators with metadata needed to authenticate the archive. Lawyers on both sides refused comment. Still, timeline sleuths noted that Justin had quietly unfollowed his father on Instagram 3 weeks before the raids. Chance followed suit days later. Analysts painted motives 2 tones darker than family, feud, self-preservation. If prosecutors hinted at charging anyone who helped facilitate the parties, handing over evidence early could buy immunity. Power. Diddy's empire, Ciroc royalties, Revolt TV stakes, fashion residuals, lacked a formal succession plan. If Justin couldn't inherit clean, maybe he could carve a kingdom out of whatever survived. Inside court, prosecutors leaned into the rift. They called a former family accountant who testified that trust documents had been updated in February 2024, cutting certain children out, pending the resolution of current litigation. The tie. Jury didn't need a decoder ring. The king was already guarding his gold from heirs he no longer trusted. Outside court, fans split into camps. Sure Team Kim, sure Team Cassie, sure Team Justin, sure Team Nobody. Revolt TV's board issued a statement, pausing executive involvement from its founder. Ciroc's parent company yanked limited edition summer citrus ads within 48 hours. Standing against a tide that strong, Diddy's defense pivoted to a single refrain: consent. They argued every adult in the videos signed NDAs, accepted luxury perks, and entered those rooms willingly. But each day, more witnesses chipped at that logic. One escort described a use-it-or-lose-it housing allowance. Another said her college tuition came with a threat: flunk any class, forfeit protection from leaked footage. Those tales landed like body blows. Legal or not, they felt predatory. By mid-June, the courtroom audience looked different. More plainclothes, federal agents, fewer music industry VIPs. Even old friends slipped away from row 1 to row 6, avoiding pool photographers. For a man once addicted to spotlights, the dimming glare cut deepest of all. While testimony droned inside, the raid's digital fallout rippled across pop culture. Prosecutors confirmed the drives listed 213 guest names, some redacted for privacy. Entertainment lawyers worked overtime drafting damage control memos. 2. Grammy-winning producers disabled social accounts for mental health breaks. An A-list actor's publicist sent midnight press releases denying party attendance, even before anyone had accused him. Brands moved faster than the courts. Luxury fashion house Amiri postponed its collaborative capsule with Diddy's label. A tech streaming giant canceled a docuseries about Bad Boy's 30-year legacy. Spotify playlists quietly downgraded his catalog to radio rotation only. Industry veterans whispered that what Harvey Weinstein did to Hollywood, Diddy might. Due to mainstream music, not one executive wanted to be next in line. Panel shows debated whether hip-hop's celebration of mogul decadence masked systemic exploitation. Universities pulled guest lecture invitations. High school counselors quoted the case during digital ethics seminars. Yet the most chilling shift happened among would-be whistleblowers. Every new witness stepping out of anonymity emboldened the next. An ex-stylist posted a TikTok hinting she had NDAs thicker than a dictionary. Her video topped 2 million views by sunset. The cultural gate swung open, and it didn't look ready to close. 8 weeks ago, Sean Diddy Combs walked into court wrapped in a designer overcoat and the swagger of a man who danced through every storm. Today his empire stands on a fault line, rocked by one woman's lawsuit, one dawn raid, and one 5-minute video that made his own daughters run from the room. Maybe the jury will convict, maybe not. Courts chase proof beyond doubt. Culture only needs suspicion. And suspicion now coils around every platinum plaque on his studio wall. The legend of a dream-big hustler who turned parties into a billion-dollar brand has collided with the testimony of women who say those parties were cages lined with velvet. Somewhere inside that Manhattan courthouse, the last hard drive still waits for a technician to click play. Maybe the public will never see its contents. Maybe it holds nothing except more blurred faces dancing beneath white lights. But the real question isn't what's on the next tape. It's how many more mythic empires survive once the lights go up and every hidden lens finally focuses. Because, in the end, power always banks on silence, until the silence breaks. And when it does, the music doesn't fade out gently. It stops, mid-beat, leaving the world to listen to everything it tried not to hear.